Woohoo! We are live. This is Math 40 Elementary Algebra, and we are solving equations using properties of equality. Woohoo! I have with me my two friends, Godzilla and Sharktopus. I have my calculator. Woohoo! I've got my colored pens, and I've got my rules for solving equations. So let's go ahead and start with those rules. I don't know if you just finished the last video or if maybe it's been 6 months like it has been for me, but it's good to review. First, we are allowed to add to both sides or subtract from both sides as long as it's the same thing on both sides. And again, we're always going to double check. So make sure you check like with a pen or a ruler or any sort of a stick or just your eyes. Make sure that if you align that line with your equals sign, you've got the same thing on both sides. Not two things on one side or two things on the other side, but one thing on each side. You got to make sure it stays balanced, right? Godzilla over here, Sharktopus over here. I know they're not the same, but they're both puppets, so I've balanced it a little bit. Then once you've moved terms, you're going to multiply or divide on both sides if necessary to go ahead and get the variable by itself. That's called isolating the variable. And we want left and right balance in all things. Okay, so let's get started. We already started these, so we're not really getting started, but we're getting started on this set. And let's start with number 3. S plus 4 equals 13. Okay, so I've got S plus 4 equals 13. Now again, do I have a lovely little oh no, I find myself without an equation marker. There we go. If you put something along where the equals is, we need to do the same thing to both sides of this equation to isolate S. So here's S over here. I want to, if I can, leave it there. I mean, that's the easiest way. And then move everything away from it. So I want to move this plus 4. That's in the way. So what I'm going to do on both sides of the equation, and if you don't want to use a stick, you can always draw a little dotted line if that helps. If you hate the dotted line, don't do it. It's not required. So I want to do something that will cancel out the plus 4. So I think to myself, what's the opposite action? If I've added 4, the opposite action or inverse is minus 4. You got it. We're going to subtract 4 on both sides. Now, am I allowed to do other things? Absolutely. You could add 400 million to both sides. You could divide both sides by the square root of 32 if you wanted. It will not help you get to the solution more quickly. That's my job, is to try to help you come up with strategies so that you can solve equations quickly. But if you just want to have a big old equation party, hey, I'm not going to stop you. You get down with your mathy self. But I'm going to subtract 4 because that will, right here, if you notice, let's see, let's bring in some green. The plus 4, try to avoid smeary town, and the minus 4 cancel each other out. And so all I have left on the left side is S. I bring the equals down, and then I get 13 minus 4, which again, hopefully you have that memorized, but you can always double check on your calculator. 13 minus 4, I believe, is 9. Woohoo. Now, one note about this. There are some people who also put the equals here. So it looks like -4 equals -4 as a reminder. I was told not to do that, but it's not wrong or bad. It just looks kind of funny for me because I learned a different method. But if it works for you to put an equals here to remind yourself the left and the right have to be equal, awesome, do that. Okay, I've got S equals 9. I can always check. If I have S plus 4 equals 13, that's my original equation. If I plug in 9 where S was, will that give me a correct answer? What is 9 plus 4? It's 13. Oh, awesome. Yay, happy day. Woohoo, dance party. Dance party. Okay, let's do another problem. Dun, dun, dun. I've changed this one subtly. Do you notice what I've done? So this one was S plus 4. Now this one's S minus 5. So slightly different thing we're going to have to do there after we sweep away the rabbit fur. Rabbit fur. It's the hardest part of doing math. It's also the cutest part of doing math. But okay, so again, I'm going to take this, I'm going to rewrite the equation for myself so I can put it in the middle here where I like it. You can put it wherever you want it. Oh, don't go anywhere. There we go. And I need to think, I want to get the variable, which is this S, by itself. So I want to work on both sides of the equation. I want to keep that balance that I've got here, the left and right balance. I got to do same thing to both sides, something that will cancel the minus 5. So I think, what's the opposite thing? If this is subtracting 5, then the opposite thing or the inverse is going to be, you got it, adding 5. So here I'll show you. This is what some people do. Remember what I was talking about it? You put the equals right there. You know, if that works for you, do it. If it's terrible, don't do it. And I'm going to use a little blue now just to mix things up. I know I don't want Godzilla and Sharktopus to think that I'm playing favorites today. So -5 plus 5 cancels each other out. We just get a 0. So over here on the left, I've just got the S. But over here on the right, again, calculator if you need it, double check. 28 plus 5 is, you got it, 33. Woohoo! S equals 33. That's my answer. Oh, and I forgot to box the previous one. Some people are big fans of boxing. I could take it or leave it, you know. I know you can hear me thinking. I was going to try to come up with something like solve equations like a butterfly and sting like a bee, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, okay, so much for my joke about boxing. Live videos, they're so fun. So if S equals 33, let me check. Now, it is my rule that I always write the word check so that the person who's reading it sees what I'm doing. It should be obvious, but sometimes things get a little exciting when you're solving problems. So anything you can do to help other people read what you've done, because believe it or not, math is not something you always do by yourself. It's something you do and then share with others. I know. Some of you, I can already hear you. You're like, oh yeah, I want someone to share math with me. It is done though. S minus 5 equals 28. Let's check. I'm going to take the S. I'm going to plug in what I thought the answer was. 33 minus 5. Is that equal to 28? And then I have to double check. Now, it may be that for the check, you actually want to use your calculator. So let's go ahead and try it out. Fingers crossed. 33 minus 5 equals 28. Yes, we did it. I mean, I did it, and I assume you did it too. Yay, and then a check mark. Life is good. I'm going to move this briefly, and then we don't have to tell anyone. So the people who don't watch the videos, they don't know that I forgot to do this. There we go. They'll just see the copy of it, and they'll say, oh, they remembered to put the boxes around everything. Woohoo. You guys ready to go on? Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Slightly more complicated. Number 5 is the equation 7 equals -3 plus 2s. Now we've got more stuff happening. So you see that we don't just have s, we have 2s, but we still have a variable. So here's our variable. Woohoo. And this time the variable's over on the right, which we're not going to panic. We can totally do this. Remember, balance, left and right. Doesn't matter which side the variable's on to begin with. So I need to come up with something that will cancel -3. Now here's the tricky thing. Some people will see this plus and they'll think, oh, I have to subtract. but you have to take into account what the sign on the constant is, and this is a -3. So the opposite thing, or the inverse, will be adding 3. Now, where's the other +3 going to go? Because some people will put it over here somewhere, but we got to double check. Here's my stick. Where's our equals? Our equals is right there. So I need the other +3 over on the other side. So I'm balancing left and right. See how one is on the left of the equation, one is on the right. And again, lots of things you can do. You can, if it helps, draw the little dotted line so you see the plus and the plus. Or write in the equal sign. That's awesome too. Really, you can get away with quite a lot in math, believe it or not. I used to think that all of it was very, very stuck and fancy and had to be a certain way. And the answer is there's a lot of flexibility. You really get a lot of options. And if you're doing something that seems a little bit more exciting and unique, maybe check in with me. Say, hey, does this still make sense? And more than likely, I'll say, oh yeah, that's kind of a cool way to do it. And then I will ask to borrow it. Because, there's nothing a math teacher likes better than more ways to do something. So I got my equals. 7 plus 3 is 10. My +3 and my -3, I think if I'm keeping track, it's Godzilla's turn. So I'll go ahead and come in with the green. Now, you don't have to do that. I'm just trying to, I'm using action and color to help you remember that things have to cancel. -3 plus 3 cancels out, and then I've got positive or +2s. Now this one's different because with this problem, with the previous problem, I'd be done. But this problem, I got two things happening. S is over here on the right, and it's not just S, it's 2s. So let's take a moment and think about what we really have. Believe it or not, this is a shortcut. What is the operation that sits between the 2 and the s? If you write 2s, what's in between? Is it like divided by? Is it an exponent? What is it? You got it. Multiplication. Now, definitely be working to get your multiplications into a dot. I know that you spent the first, 12, 15 years of your life learning that multiplication was an X, and then suddenly they switch it to the dot. And I'm not sure. I'm not an elementary school math teacher, so I don't know why they did that. I remember feeling frustrated, like, wait, you're just going to change it after we practiced it all this time? And the answer is yes, we are. And the reason for that is because sometimes we will use X's, and then the multiplication and the X's will get all confused. And then, it's just like, crazy time. So I should say bonkers time. Confusing time. 10 equals 2 times s. So now, in my list of things I'm allowed to do, I have added to both sides. I added 3 to both sides. Then I can multiply or divide on both sides. So what would get s by itself? Well, I think what would get s by itself is if I divide by 2. Now, this is kind of interesting because I could also say is I could multiply both sides by 1/2 if you want to think about it that way. I know a lot of people are like, whoa, no, don't bring in the fractions. So if you don't want to bring in the fractions, that's fine. I'm just going to draw a division like this. 2, 2. Do you see that? Do you see how I'm doing the same thing on both sides? It's got to be exactly the same. What is 10 divided by 2? Well, if you're not sure, if you can't remember, because it's been a long day, totally could happen. Oops, sorry. Get out of the light, Carol Ann. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And look, it even looks like 10 over 2. Or you could reduce. Now, what happens if I've got a 2s over 2? Then I realize I have to find my red pen. And then I realize with horror, my red pen is gone. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, no. If the cabal finds out I don't have my red pen, I might not be able to be a math teacher. Don't tell anyone I lost my red pen. Let's just pretend. There, you see, something simple like losing my red pen, and then what did I just do? I canceled the S. Okay, look over there. There's a pterodactyl outside of your window. You should check that. No, keep checking. No, I'm sure it's out there. Oh my goodness, it's eating the whole city that you are in. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Oh, the humanity. Okay, I guess it was nothing. You can look back. Okay, let's try this again. Now, if I cancel the 2's, which is what I meant to do, I was so upset I couldn't find my red pen that, oh, that was hard. Now, if I have a 1 and a 1, technically I have S over 1. But in reality, anything over 1 is just itself. So 5 equals S. Now, I find this perfectly acceptable. I really do. But I have, in my past, been known to delight in a little bit of chaos. So for those of you who are not as fond of chaos as I am, you can write it the other way. If 5 equals S, then S equals 5. You're allowed to take the equation and flip it around. I believe that's called the reflective property, but I would have to look that up. Woohoo! Okay, shall we check? Now, as the problems get more exciting, more complicated, the checking is also going to be more exciting, more complicated. So let's give it a try. I've got 7, and is that equal to -3 plus 2 times 5? Notice now when I put in the 5, I put it in parentheses. The reason for that is otherwise if I just stuck 5 in there, it'll look like 25. So make sure you're either using parentheses or use a dot for multiplication. Okay, well, this is not obvious to me, so let me work it out. On the left side, I've got 7, and then on the right side, I've got to do order of operations. So 2 times 5, so -3 plus 10. And I'm just going to copy that down, -3 plus 10. Okay, what is -3 plus 10? You got it. 7. Bam, we got it. Woohoo. And I'm peeking, and I'm peeking, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, yeah, let's do one more. We're up against, it's almost 18 minutes right now, and I don't want to make this too long. So let's do one more, and then we'll break it into another video. I know, more rabbit fur. It is the price we pay to have cute pets. Okay, I'm rolling up my sleeves. You guys ready? Deep breath. Okay. Now everything has just gone off the rails. I got numbers. I got letters. It's all over the place. I got 2 terms with variables, 2 terms with numbers, plus the 2. Oh my goodness. Everything is happening all at once. What should I do? Step 1. Decide where the variable should go. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this is always going to be easy. Sometimes there will be a more obvious answer. No answer is wrong here. So honestly, if I said, where would you like the variable to go? And you said left, I'll say great. If you said right, I'll say great. So you just have to pick a place and then stick with it. So I've got 2a plus 4 equals a plus 8. Now, personally, I've got a rule that I follow. And again, the great thing about these rules, if you follow these rules, no matter how you decide to start it, if you're following these rules and using balance left and right, sorry, I did that backwards. Let me try it again. Left and right. Aha. It will always work out. Always. Now, It could be that there are some of these, like this one, I'm thinking will be done in 2 steps if I make good choices. And if I make other choices, it'll still get solved, but it might take me 3 or 4 steps instead. So my goal here is to try to do it in a way that makes it easier for me. That's personal. Now, it may be that your goal is that it takes as long as possible because you're enjoying it. It's like a good book. You don't want to finish it. Could happen. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. It could happen. You might love math and you're like, oh, please let this never end. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my 2 variables, and I'm using yellow again. Here's my variable term here, 2 times a, and over here on the right side, a. And I'm going to ask the simple question, where are there more a's? Now, I put more in quotation marks because sometimes this is a weird question. And I think in these, usually that'll be pretty easy to answer, but sometimes it gets a little weird. So you just kind of gotta be flexible. But in this case, I got 2 A's on the left and 1 A on the right. So that means there are more on the left. Again. And I'm going to use another word, put. It's not like you're putting them. You're going to be adding and subtracting from both sides so that you end up with the A's on the left-hand side. So in other words, wherever there are more to begin with, move them there. Okay, so what does that mean? 2A plus 4 equals A plus 8. If I want to move this A to this side, how do I move it? Well, I'm not really moving it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to come up with the opposite thing. So I look right in front of it and I see there's no sign here. So that tells me this is a positive A, plus A. Now, the number it represents isn't necessarily positive, but the coefficient is a positive 1. So what I want to do to cancel it is do the opposite thing, which is a minus 1A. And again, be really careful. We're right on the edge. There's the equals sign. So I got to make sure there's a minus A over here and a minus A over there. See how there's 1 on each side? Again, you can put the equals in between them, or you can draw the dotted line, however you like. Woohoo. Okay, next up. 2A minus A is A. Now, if you feel really comfortable, as you get more comfortable with these, you could deal with the constants in the same step. There's plenty of room here, so if it won't confuse you, you can do whatever it is, the mysterious next step. You can do that right here if you just want to save steps. And then you've got 1 step and you're done. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to bring the numbers down. Does that make sense? See how that works? The 4 is just hanging out. Now, the A and the opposite A, they cancel out. I'm going to use blue. Again, trying to keep it an even for my Godzilla and Sharktopus. But then there's an 8 here. I need to bring the 8 here. Now, some people find it useful to draw an arrow like this because you're not doing anything with it. Some people don't. You do not have to draw the arrow. If it's helpful, use it. If it's not, don't. Okay, so far so good. Now I've got A plus 4 equals 8, positive 8. And now, again, I've got my A. My A is over here on the left. Awesome. And I have to move the positive 4 to isolate A. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. There we go. Positive 4, negative 4 over here. I've just got the A. I've got the equals, and then I've got 8 minus 4 is, got it, 4. Okay. Oh, that's a thing of beauty, isn't it? Shall we go ahead and check? Now remember, to check, we have to find the original equation. I'm going to write check, and there's my original equation. 2a plus 4 equals a plus 8. Okay, so if a is 4, then I've got 2 times 4 plus 4. Is that equal to 4 plus 8? So far, so good. 2 times 4 on the left is 8, plus 4 is 12. Okay, over here on the right-hand side, 4 plus 8 is 12. Oh my goodness, we did it. It's done. This one was actually pretty fast to check. Woohoo! Yay, dance party. Okay. Etc., etc. Okay, so since it's 25 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. I have, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4 more examples to show you. So go get a snack, get something to drink, hydrate, go find the sunshine, exercise, whatever it is you need to do. Go out and do it. And then come meet me again. We'll do one more video going through the next 4 examples. Woohoo! Math on, guys. You guys are awesome.